Good afternoon, everyone, or your good morning or good evening. Welcome to another episode of the Paper Straw Podcast. I'm Ian Riñon, the guy behind the Intrepid Ian Riñon channel. And with me, as always, is Christian Tajares and Chris Short. Gentlemen, what a week,
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
Yeah.
Mm.
Too quick, if you ask me.
My- yeah, I mean, uh, it's too quick. I never realized it's over by Wednesday. I thought we are gonna have a marathon, but then
Mm.
again, Trump claimed victory, Harris conceded, and all that stuff. It's really quick. The results are quick, the reactions are quick, and basically this episode is a majority of this episode would be dedicated to wrapping up our coverage of the US presidential election for this year 2024.
Yeah.
And as an American, Chris, what's your reaction with all of this? Or what's the bottom line? Excuse me.
What's
Yeah. As a
the
white as a white male, Chris, how does it feel to be right?
Yeah.
well? I mean, it was. I think it was like the reason that I think most practical people in America that didn't let identity politics or um, you know, nonstop slander from legacy media.
Yeah.
They didn't let, like, it was very, like, I said this the other day, that this is the only election, well, only the second election that we've had, only the first in however many years, where you could actually compare two administrations, right? Because
Two fresh
usually
ones.
usually you have one administration, then the opponent has never been president before,
Mhm.
right? So
Yeah.
it's always, that's why they call them campaign promises. Well, this was cut and dry. These are, we had tangible evidence of what happens under Trump and what happens with a Harris affiliated administration.
Mhm.
And I think the question that was always asked, the best question that Trump and his supporters always asked was, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago?
Yeah.
And the answer is, for most people, no. Right? Like groceries are higher, rent is higher, building materials are higher, gas is higher. Like the world's at war. There's two wars happening, two large scale wars happening. There's 20 million illegal immigrants that entered the US in 3.5 years. There's numerous American citizens that were murdered by murdered, the R word that we try not to say because of whatever reason,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
assaulted. This was in the news like every day by illegal, and I don't know if you guys remember the young guys in New York that beat the shit out of that NYPD officer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, they were young Venezuelan gang members. They arrested them. There's like six of them or something. They arrested them. They released them from jail with no bond because New York is a Democrat shithole. And when they released them, the guys were like laughing and like flipping off the cameras and stuff. Like these are the people that, not all, it's not fair to generalize, obviously, but there's a lot of unsavory, dangerous people that enter this country or entered the country illegally.
Yeah.
And those are just, like I said, it's like cut and dry examples. Trump
Yeah.
was president, no new wars, which is is a first. ISIS was basically wiped out. Iran was broke.
Yeah.
Um, the
Yeah.
lowest border encounters in a long, long, long time. We were energy independent for like the first time in 50 years. And then Biden comes in, removes 90% of Trump's policies, and the world went to shit.
Oh yeah. And you
So
know,
for me, it was just a very obvious choice. Like, do you want this, what we have now, or do you want what we had before?
mhm, that's a good way to see it. Just a follow up though, Chris. Because Donald Trump is only the second president who have a non-consecutive term,
Mm,
and the first one is Grover Cleveland back
right.
in the 19th century. So, uh, do you think this would mean anything, um, or would there be comparisons between Trump and Cleveland?
Um, I don't even know like why there was a gap between Grover Cleveland's presidency. I don't know what happened there.
I see.
Um, I don't know if it was a similar thing, like everybody was like, "Oh, this dude sucks," and it was like, "We're going to elect this guy," and it's like, "Oh shit, this guy's a lot worse." So we're going to put this guy back. I don't know what happened, um, but I don't think so. That's I mean, I don't even know like the electoral college back then. I don't even know what year Grover Cleveland. Sounds made up.
That's a completely
Yeah,
archaic name now.
Yeah,
yeah.
it
Oh,
sounds like a place. Like, where are you from?
Sesame
Well, I'm
Street
from
actually
Grover,
ruined it for
Cleveland.
everyone.
Yeah. So
and
he was
Ohio.
22 and 24.
Mhm.
Let's see if we can educate ourselves and the masses for a moment. So from 1837, he was alive from 1837 to 1908. What is that? How many years is that? 71?
70, yeah.
That's a pretty good age for the fucking 1800s.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers usually die at like 45 years old back then.
Yeah.
85 to 89, 1885 to 1889. Jesus, he was a and again from 1893 to 1897 when he was the first Democrat to win the presidency following the wow, first Democrat to win after the Civil War.
Yeah.
Okay, didn't know
It,
that.
so basically, given that he's a Democrat and Trump is a Republican, it's one to one already.
Yeah. He led the Bourbon Democrats, a pro-business movement opposed to high tariffs, free silver, inflation, imperialism, and subsidies to businesses, farmers, or veterans. They
Mhm.
opposed these things? They
Well,
opposed subsidies to farmers and veterans?
it's the 19th century, Chris, so that's that. But
Probably couldn't
um,
afford it, I guess.
yeah. But Christian, uh, from an outsider perspective, this Trump win would has already had ripples across the world. What does it mean to you and maybe to me, since we're both Filipinos?
It means to me,
I mean,
like in terms
we
of
aside from Chris, we have contacts who are Americans, so or living in the United States. So
in
that's
terms of
that.
being Filipino, we will be seeing the ripple effects of it when it comes to diplomacy in our economy. But the thing with this one is, I've seen a lot of Democrats actually asking the question, "What happened?" And my answer to that is, "What happened is you've done all the wrong things for the past 4 years." I made
All the wrong
And
this
that,
things.
I've made this assumption before when Trump was actually beaten by Biden back in 2020. Like the U.S. America would actually never allow him to be a president again after the insurrections and after all the evidences that they actually presented. My idea regarding that actually changed when the Stormy Daniels trials actually happened.
uh,
That
Mm.
thing, they shouldn't actually have done that.
All of
They
his
should
trials
have.
were bogus.
It's not even about all those trials, it's how those trials were actually handled. All of those should have
Mm.
been done on a federal level.
Yeah.
Like
not on
Trump, the only way Trump would actually win this and actually get away from those indictments is actually just running out the clock, which he actually successfully did. Democrats, you had 4 years to actually make your case regarding the previous administration. It's too late now to actually do that. And with an election year that's actually happened and the way they actually handled the Biden and Harris candidacy over the past, because we have to understand, Trump played to the media perfectly on why this actually became the case.
But he's a
Mhm.
marketing. He's a good market. He's good in marketing.
Not just
He's a bit.
him, the Democrats, the Democratic media platforms actually played into his hand by televising those trials, making him look like a
Oh,
martyr in front of people. He gained free press without actually making any absurd statements that people already know. Like
mind
the Stormy
blown.
Daniels thing. Would you, Trump not being at home with his wife, being with a porn star and having sex? I just assume he would be doing that. That's nothing important. That's not out of character. Like,
Yeah,
I don't need to hear that.
Yeah,
yeah.
nobody cares really.
Like, you
I,
wasted people's time regarding trying to one up him with these trials. It should have been on a
Yeah.
federal level.
I understand that morals are also important when it comes to being in public office. But then again, it's uh it's a personal thing. It
Like,
doesn't
when
have
we,
to be
it's not even about morals. When a government leader actually threatens another country for the safety of its own government, do you think he's not treading on morals there?
Mm.
yeah, yeah, that's fair.
So
I
But
morality
mean,
comes
but
out the door when it comes to administration. The Biden administration, I know they have successes, but the problem with success is it's not sexy in front of the media. So no matter how
mhm,
many achievements they have, and Harris distanced herself from that administration the moment he got the nomination after Biden stepped down. So what
mhm.
else does she have in her report card?
mm,
Aside from being basically assistant to her boss, that's something.
Same thing with the rest of the
Now,
constituents for the Democrats with senators and congressmen. Like, they distance themselves from Biden like he has the shits.
mhm,
but she
right.
always said too, like she would say, like, I was the last person in the room for a lot of those decisions,
And
like the Afghanistan withdrawal and the
it didn't
decisions they've made on Ukraine and the Inflation
it
Reduction Act, which Biden admitted was named terribly because it caused inflation to increase.
yeah, and Americans actually, it's sad to think that they haven't learned for the past 8 years regarding how voters actually work.
Yeah.
Like, those that actually voted for Trump, I would still argue it's usually not because of his policies that they're actually voting or have voted for him. It's just
Mm,
that a lot of the voters are just voting for him as a bulwark against the democratic ideals that are present right now, that is not actually logically sane.
Mhm.
Like, you
Yeah.
can hate
And
Trump all you want, you can't actually hate the voters.
mm.
yeah, just you just have to hate Trump, but not his supporters because they're just ordinary
It's
folks
not
like
even necessarily hate Trump, it's just understanding why.
Well, I think it's first off, I think if you
yeah.
I seen a reel on Instagram I think yesterday of I think it was Charlie Kirk, and like it's kind of like it's just like this, it's like his face was like the whole thing,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
like everything's being announced, and Trump is accepting the victory or whatever, like all this is happening, and he's like getting emotional.
Mhm.
I was like, that's so cringe, bro. Like, come on, man. This is politics. It's not that, like, you shouldn't be crying because Donald Trump got elected. Either way,
It's it's a soy boy move, right?
And it's,
I was like, bro, that's fucking
again, I would
what?
still stand by my point with when Ian and I did the previous one, the previous podcast.
Yeah.
Celebrities, Hollywood elites, those that said they would self deport during Trump's first term, now's your second time to actually make good on your word.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
There's a
you
viral
said it,
video going around right now.
you better do it.
Yeah. There's a viral video right now of this soy boy, basically, very feminine gentleman. And that's fine for feminine, whatever. Some of us are, some of us aren't. But he was like, he was like, we are cooked. Like
Cooked?
Trump is
What?
president, we are cooked. He's like, I'm leaving the United States and I'm moving to Hawaii.
Good
And
luck,
people are like,
Hawaii.
wait,
It's part of
what?
the United
It's still the
States.
United States, right?
Yeah, but he was dead ass
Unless,
serious.
unless Hawaii declares its independence and restore its monarchy.
They should buy themselves
They're
back.
too they're, they're too
That's
dependent
just
on the
it.
US now.
I don't think Hawaii would
Right?
suddenly actually wanna secede.
Yeah.
And Hawaii's blue anyway. Hawaii's super blue. Um,
Like it. What does this type of statement actually make your country look like? You guys survived 2 wars, an attack on the trade center, the the pandemic. Like a presidency would kill you.
yeah, it's crazy.
Like how soft has America become?
It's
That's just one
gaslighting to the
person.
max.
Right? I mean, the
We've been
idea of
colonized
a
how many times? 4 times, twice by one.
Mm.
Like, have you seen Filipinos crying about it online? We never
actually
actually raised our card regarding the colonization stuff.
not just not actually twice, but four
Yeah, like I said, four.
we let's include the British
I
from
would
1760.
argue even now we're still being colonized,
Exactly.
right?
That's also what I was thinking. And it's not just the United States, but also other cultural influences like Japan and South Korea, right?
Yeah.
So
And
I understand the position of people who voted, or the reasoning why people actually voted Trump in.
mm,
I
I
think
mean,
it's their vote. They see it that way, and I can understand why. After being an outsider and an observer for the past 4 years, because I am one of those that were actually hopeful that things would actually be back to normal once the pandemic, because often hardships and actual loss actually teaches people lessons. But it seems no one actually learned anything over the past 4 years.
sadly, that's the truth. And you know what? When we started this coverage back in Monday, Christian, you said that you predicted Harris would win and you
Yeah,
don't like
I
it.
did.
But yeah, but now
I
now
don't
that
like it.
now
Not
that
one
Trump
bit.
won, how does it feel that you're wrong?
It doesn't feel good in a sense.
right, well, nobody wants to
And
hear
I'll
that.
explain to you why. Even though I'm actually much more hopeful that the election turned this way, is because I am still in doubt regarding the receptiveness of the American people regarding the changes that's happened over the past 8 years. Now, whether people would be much more in tune right now to see that things are going to shits because of the ideals that actually turned into the insane, or they might be much more uh, incensed by not winning an election on their terms.
I mean,
Like Kara's concession speech, okay, she conceded, yes, but that in her speech, it doesn't actually diminish anything regarding towards the direction of of sanity. It's not
Right.
pushing for that direction. I feel like, at least for me, that didn't feel like asking the American people to actually move in that direction. She still feels that the fight within this type of Democratic Party right now is the one that they need to be fighting for.
yeah.
Like she didn't actually turn back from her statements regarding the other party is the bad ones or
Mhm.
the bad ones.
Well, I mean, they like to attack
Other
or
words,
they like
she
to
said,
attack or like what you call it? Like discredit Trump supporters. But how many votes did he get? 60 million or something?
That doesn't
it's a
sound
close
right when you
race too.
actually win both the electoral college and the popular vote, which almost always never happens.
I mean, he
Very
the,
rare.
the point that you made, I think a minute ago was like they performed horribly over the last 4 years.
Yeah,
They just did.
Mm.
they
I
were
mean,
given
everything
so
from
many
Biden,
opportunities.
I would go as far as to say starting in the campaign against Trump, Joe Biden was, they would, say things like, Biden's in the basement. because cognitively, he just wasn't able to. He was saying wild shit like all the time. Like if you vote for Trump, then you ain't black, bro. You can't say that on the Breakfast Club. That's insane.
That's
And but the
borderline.
legacy media act like it never. It's not a big deal. If Trump said that, bro, cities would have burned to the ground.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
because the
that's
It
Democrats.
would have been 24/7 coverage. Donald Trump is racist.
Yeah, because the Democrats over the past 4 years have been spineless when it comes to looking for the unreasonable on their end. Like the unreasonable part of the Democrats is actually speaking sanity, but they can't actually admit it because a majority of those people are actually more to the center, which is now the right. Once they admit those are the things that, yeah, I understand. My connection is actually bad at the moment. Am I good?
It's bro. Can you all hear this thunder?
I do hear it. I do
It
hear.
sounds like it sounds like furniture's moving. There's nothing up there. It's the sky is
Yeah.
after this. It
Is raining
sounds
there?
like furniture moving.
Uh,
It just started.
Oh, it started raining, and I'm hearing some thunder here as well.
the mine
Yeah,
is
So
it's
one.
the thunder was great.
Mine
The
is the one that's
thunder
peaceful right
didn't
now.
really even sound like the thunder didn't even really sound like thunder. I was like, what is that? And then it kept going.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, that's thunder.
yeah, I've also been noticing it here. I was thinking, oh my, it's our internet connection is gonna be screwed again.
It's on its way to you, I think.
I
Yeah.
don't know if it's on its way to
Yeah.
my place or it's already done. It already went here and then it's coming to your place. I don't know.
Yeah. I already brought my
This is
laundry
the
in,
first
so.
time it's rained here today.
Either way,
What was I
it's
saying?
really yeah,
I forgot.
I can't hear it. It's so loud. Hold on.
it's about Democrats being spineless. That I think that's the last thing that I
Yeah.
heard.
Let's wait for Chris. Yeah, because I don't
I
know if you
literally
would agree
cannot
with
hear
me.
it.
Tell me if you agree with me about this, Chris. The Democrats have been so spineless that they might have a much more valid candidate than Biden or Harris. It's just that they can't run him or her because he or she is of the center, which is more aligned to the right now. They can't have that rhetoric if they present a candidate that way. Would it still be viable? And this is also my question for you, Chris. Do you think the Democrats would find viability with actually running that type of candidate during this race, and would that have a chance?
Um, would it have a chance? Maybe. Uh, but it's a bad look.
It is going to
It's
be
a
a
bad
bad
look
look.
on the party. It's like why not? Wait, you have a guy and somebody the vice
Yeah,
president.
but
Why
if you
wouldn't
see, if
you?
you look at the policies that they had before, the things that they're
Hmm,
fighting right now are their policies back 20 years ago.
no, no, everything's changed.
So what happened, right? I mean, it's you said that the
You
Democrats
know
have been
what happened,
spineless.
and we always go back to this. Politicians have found a much easier way to actually manipulate their user base, and that's through social media. And they are now able to actually communicate directly and hear minority voices that actually didn't mean doesn't mean much to them, but they feel that it actually is beneficial. Like someone from the Boondocks could actually mention this type of thing that it's important for him or her to be known as this identity, which isn't actually the case for 99% of the country, but they think that is actually equally much more important since that actually popped up to their Twitter feed with a lot of retweets.
Yeah,
It would be hard for them to actually escape
You
this visible voter base that they have now. But the problem with that is they're ignoring the invisible ones, which is really the majority of their population that aren't on Twitter, that aren't on social media, that doesn't actually know how to run technology, but can see the problems of the country from within. Like the
I
opinions that
think I
they
also
might
see.
be getting might not actually be coming from Americans. They
Yeah,
have to
I
also take
mean,
that into consideration.
yeah,
I don't know
that's
what's
true.
happening in the US right now, but my opinions can be heard there.
Yeah, I mean that's also the same for my
Like it's an invasion It's the sudden invasion of unwanted information that has shaped this political party to what it is now. And who's more attuned with technology? The Democrats. Obama gave them a much better way to do politics back in 2008, and they're still using that playbook, even though that playbook has now been tainted.
But she dropped the ball on
Not
she
not
dropped the
just her.
ball on reaching out.
Yeah,
I
I
would
mean,
give
this
her
election, she really did.
I would give her an out on this, since it's only been a couple of months. She didn't actually win the primary, and I figured she wouldn't actually be thinking she's gonna be on the podium for this one.
No, but I
yeah.
mean, when I say she dropped the ball, like Trump did so many podcasts, the big ones, right? He did Rogan, he did Flagrant,
Yeah,
he did Lex Friedman,
Uh,
he did Theo Vaughn.
I
You know,
would
and he was
much
on.
rather be posing the blame on our campaign manager for this one.
Well, you,
oh,
funny thing, Trump's campaign manager, the lady, I forget her name. She was his campaign manager in 2016, and she was his campaign manager this election cycle. Um, he just appointed her to chief of staff. She's the first female to be chief of staff in the White House.
There's the
oh,
first female now,
that's a glass
so at
ceiling shattered.
least you got that. But then
Yeah.
again,
And people are still the left. Like I've seen this was on a CNN post, and the comments are like attacking the way she looks, acting like, oh look, Trump is doing this because he wants everyone to think he likes women. It's like she's been his campaign manager for 12 years.
dude,
Like I don't think it's I'm gonna do this because I want people to think that you know, like women or whatever. Like obviously he doesn't have the first winner of Yafaya, what's it called? The Apprentice
Mhm.
was a black woman.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, racists don't behave that way.
you know what's more
That whole
indicative
racist
to me
narrative
of
is
the current state of America right now? Is remember Will Smith slapping Chris Rock,
yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
and the
remember
left is
that.
actually fine with it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because it's Hollywood. The left needs Hollywood.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
but it's been it the Oscars has been shown on family TV across the
Yeah,
globe,
Yeah.
and producers, showrunners are actually aware that that's happening at the moment.
And they don't
Yet
care.
they choose to do the things that they've done back then by allowing someone who physically assaulted someone to say his
mm,
piece on camera and play the victim. Like that's the
play
current
the
state
victim.
of the U.S. And I believe
Now
that's the reason why.
that's the current state of the left of the U.S. That victim mentality.
Uh-huh.
Don't hurt my feelings.
Yeah,
I'm fragile. I can do whatever I
and
want
that's
as long as I apologize.
and
That's
that's
that
one of the
bullshit with
reasons
Taylor.
why I believe Trump actually won.
Yeah, because that's not America. We're
Yeah,
not like that.
Yeah.
like I said, people who vote Trump, I don't think a lot of them, but there are some who voted for him that just want to vote for him just so he can be a bulwark against the ideals of the Democrats that they're
Mhm.
seeing at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, allowing transgender. I always fuck this up. The dudes
Transgender.
that want to be chicks. What is that? Is that a transgender woman?
Yeah, trans woman.
So, but it's really a dude, right? But it's a trans to a woman. Uh, I mean, this is the same party that thinks it's okay for trans women to compete in not only women's sports, contact sports.
Yeah,
Like
Oh.
I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
that one transgender woman that like fractured this other chick's skull in like a MMA match. Like
yeah.
that's the
Democrats and
lunacy that
Yeah.
people
Democrats and
are like,
liberals should have been the party of science, right? Yet they deny biology that a man can actually beat up a woman. It's
And
not about the
they,
genitals.
and they even can't answer Matt Walsh's question.
hmm,
Like it's never been about the genitals. It's all about the body structure and the differences between the two.
It's not
right.
just
I
about
mean,
genitals, but it's also the body structure,
Like
both
you're just
and.
taking away low blows. That's it.
Yeah, but uh, ins- and maybe I'll get a tangent here because you remember the Algerian
Yeah,
boxer Imane Khalif,
Yeah.
yeah.
the one that competed in the Olympics and won gold in boxing in the and she was she was actually outed as a man. There is a French investigative journalist that said that or discovered that Khalif uh had male
Yeah.
genitals, although it's not as uh pronounced as
Yeah.
we three have, but still male
It's
genitals.
it's it's in a boxing ring, but if you take into consideration if you switch that to the fact of marriage, that would be domestic violence.
Oh yeah, of
So
course. And I feel bad for the Italian boxer who fought her.
I suddenly remembered
Yeah,
the South
He
Park
the one that
episode.
quit.
The
The
South
one
Park
that
episode with
quitted, the
Randy
one that
Savage.
yeah.
Yeah. But
I'm
I think that boxer, that Algerian boxer,
yeah.
is not a man. There's some. It's a hormonal thing.
Oh yeah. That's also the nuance of that.
Was
That
she actually
But
taking
at first it
testosterone
was
for medical
no. It's a
purposes?
natural thing that happens, and I mean, her father spoke about it. I remember a lot of people very quickly was like, "This is bullshit. Men should not be." It's like, hold on, this
Yeah.
is not that. This is a hormonal, biological thing that sometimes happens in nature.
and it's very rare.
It's very
But
rare.
then again, um Khalif shouldn't have been competing in the first place given that condition though.
I mean,
Would you
still
see
a
that?
woman, just
Would
a
you take
fucking
dox her
super
for
strong
actually
woman.
being born with an
Like,
advantage like that?
what happened?
Would you actually take points from her for actually being born with an innate advantage over other
That's the
athletes like
thing.
that?
Like, it's. What are you gonna do? Like, not allow her to compete against women because she's too strong, but then put her against men and watch her get her shit wrecked. Like that's not fair either.
Mhm.
So I mean, it's not common enough for them to have their own division. I mean, it just sounds
It's
like
the
to
Olympics.
me
The Olympics though.
she won the genetic lottery
Yeah.
and was like, dude, I can beat the shit out of these other chicks.
Yes, it's like blaming a basketball player why he was actually born and grew up to be
For
seven
like being
foot,
tall.
right?
It's like if somebody
Yeah.
said, "Oh, Wimby, it's not fair. You're so tall. Like you don't get to play. You're too tall." Like, bro, whoops, my bad. I didn't mean to be tall as fuck.
Yeah. That's an important nuance, Chris. That's
It
for
is.
sure.
It's
But
not
if
her
she
fault, and
sucks
it
as a
wasn't. There wasn't
boxer,
no shady shit happening.
if she sucks as a boxer, no matter how high her
Mm,
testosterone level is, it wouldn't actually matter, right?
right.
Yeah.
The Olympic level boxing is not just straight. This is training. This is knowledge. This
Yeah,
is experience. Like
like dodging is free.
as a man, I couldn't hold my own against those Olympic female boxers. They kick the shit out of me for sure, 100%.
Yeah.
But against a
Yeah.
woman
That's
without training, right? It's a different story.
Of course, yeah. They
of
fucking,
course.
yeah, like a bull in a China shop, I'd be busting everything in
Yeah.
there. But
We're not
yeah,
condoning it, by the way. So
no,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
Of course.
But like
be
back to what I
nice.
was saying about them allowing like Leah. You remember the Leah Thomas story?
Yeah,
Oh yeah. Leah Thomas story.
yeah. That one
So
was different.
this one is an issue. This one is a problem
Yeah,
Yeah.
because this dude was like number 400 in the country racing as a man. And then when he
yeah,
switched over, all of a sudden he's winning national championships. Come on,
yeah.
dude.
Serena
Yeah.
Williams already admitted on camera. She was on record saying that if I am
Yeah,
like people say I'm the best female tennis player ever, but if I
mhm,
competed
Yeah.
with men, I would be
people,
ranked 40th, 50th,
yeah,
or somewhere
too
that in that
fast.
place because these men serve harder. They actually get to the ball faster. Like she is
Yeah.
actually an admission that she doesn't actually deny the physicality that it's different when it comes to the male and female
There's
sport.
and
Yeah.
it may hurt your feelings as a you know as a woman, maybe, I don't
Yeah,
know, that
and
like when somebody says, you're not as strong, like, of course, not every man is stronger than every woman, but if you take a professional athlete,
yeah,
Uh-huh.
you know, it's it's miles. The difference is crazy.
you know
Exactly.
why
And
I actually think that the democratic agenda regarding identity and gender is completely a complete hypocrisy on their end, because you guys still have male and female categories in acting.
That's another thing.
yeah.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
why can't you classify Meryl Streep in the same classification as Robert De Niro? Why?
Because then it's less awards. It's half
Does
as
she
many
act
awards every year.
less than Robert? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
is
that's fair.
Yeah.
You're doing this in sports, why not in entertainment?
yeah, if you
Right?
want the
Yeah.
same thing, if men and women are actually equal, I don't see any point in actually dividing the Oscars or any acting
Yeah.
category by
No.
sexes, right?
Intellectually, we are all equal. Like, and we all have the same capacity for the most part. So
Can
obviously some
can't you
people
actually judge Robert Downey if
are smarter, some
he
people are
actually
not.
acted much better than
Yeah.
who was that girl in Oppenheimer? I
I'm not
forgot her
sure
name.
who she.
Like
Anyway,
with that example, like, can't you actually make a distinction if someone's actually doing their best when it comes to their acting? Do you have to divide
Right.
them by gender?
But I mean, it's not that they like to have all those awards. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
if you do best actor across the whole thing, then that's only one person. If you do best male actor, best female actor, best supporting actor, best supporting
uh,
actress, like now everybody's kind of getting a little piece. Where if it was just one straight down the middle, like this year it's which would be entertaining because then it's like this is the fourth year in a row a female has won best actor. Come on, guys, get your shit
And
together, or I don't know something.
it would cut and
that's yeah, that's
and the Oscars is
yeah.
already long as it is. The sad part about this is
Yeah.
the one time they actually wanted to strip down the length of the broadcast, they actually took out the background roles, meaning those that actually work behind the scenes and actually didn't give them
Mm,
screen time, which I felt was these are more important actually for you to actually just ignore and push to the side. These
yeah.
are the people
Yeah,
who
because
made your movies.
in, yeah, in film production, the actors, those who are in front of the camera, they're just the tip of the spear of this production.
Yeah. They're just yeah, exactly. Tip of the iceberg maybe is a better but
Yeah,
yeah. So they're what you see, right? There's a lot going on.
And
exactly.
I feel
And
like this election is funny to see that Dr. Phil and Oprah are on two different sides.
oh yeah,
Like,
I totally
that's called a
noticed
national
that.
divorce, right?
Have y'all seen where they show those clips from like 20 years ago when Trump was on Oprah and she was like, "Would you run for president?" And he's like, "Well, whatever, whatever." He's like, "Not really. I kind of don't want to, but if ever I felt that I needed to, I would." She was
Like,
like, "You would make a great president." She told him this like in the 90s.
and now Oprah's been
Yeah, because back in the
bit in
90s,
the
Trump
back.
was a Democrat. So it's easy for her to actually
Yeah,
make that
Mm,
statement. Now,
he was
because
a Democrat.
Oprah's Democrat too, right?
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
from
And speaking,
Chicago, Illinois, Democrat. Yeah.
now I
yeah,
see people
and
sharing clips of Joe Rogan actually back then stating that I would never have Trump on an interview. No.
Mm.
now he's eating his words. He has
I
Trump
would
on his
argue that
podcast.
Joe Rogan podcast interview did so much for him than the last 3 years he's been campaigning for himself.
Actually, according
And that Elon
to
Musk interview also.
the Elon Musk interview, hit hard right
Yeah.
before election. That shit dropped right before
And
you go to
Last
vote.
minute.
and I just found out that a John Oliver episode was actually just uploaded on YouTube. It was actually supposed to preempt the election. So everything he would have
Oh,
said, the revelations regarding Trump's businesses, would have
yeah.
should have been aired before the election, but I just saw it uploaded this day. And people are
Looks
pissed.
like campaign. Looks like it's a smear campaign.
Like I
But
watched
I was
that
Yeah.
talking.
thing.
Did you see that? Yeah.
I watched that thing. It would have helped a
Sorry.
bit.
Go ahead.
I watched the John Oliver episode on YouTube. Like it would have helped a bit. Just a
I
bit.
don't
I'm
think.
not giving it too
I
much
don't
credit.
think
It
there
would have
was
swayed the election.
really.
I wouldn't
But it
give it
would
too much credit that it would
definitely
sway the election, but it would at
make
least
things
actually cause people to actually think a
lighter.
bit more.
Mm,
I see.
which is good. People
Like
need to
doubt
think.
is
Yeah,
actually
of
much
course.
more of a currency before an election than
And
this.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're not sure, doubt can really be like, that can be the deciding factor more so than, um, confidence in one way or the other.
Yeah. You were saying, Ian? Sorry.
It's like I
now,
love him. I think he's great, but I don't think I can vote for him because like that doubt plays a very big role in decision making for sure.
So they missed the
yeah,
boat.
that's good. Anyway, coming back to what you said, Christian, earlier, a few maybe or half an hour ago, about voters who are not on social media, who are not online. There are I've actually read or maybe watched some clips or read some comments that even the Amish are voting for Trump.
Yeah.
That's when you know shit's
If
serious.
there's any evidence
It's like,
regarding what I said that a
Betsy,
lot of people are
hook
not
up the
listening
horses.
to
We are
Twitter,
going to town.
like I saw a horse
Yeah.
go to the voting booth. Like
Bro.
What? A horse voting. That's crazy.
if
And
you get the Amish vote, like
yeah,
it's
the Amish. If you got the Amish vote, that's game. That's game.
they might be thinking a
I seen
ballpoint
if
pen
I
is
can
still
find
witchcraft.
this.
As you were saying, Chris.
Here we go. What? The Amish don't get involved in politics unless it's look at them. The Amish rolling in, boy. That
The
shit.
Amish going into their horse and
Look at 'em.
carriage, horses and carriage.
This, I don't know if this is true. The
Yeah.
Department of Agriculture raided Amish farms in Pennsylvania.
But
I don't know.
were
Yeah.
they grow?
Yeah,
Were they
to
growing
verify.
weed?
No, they're very religious. Amish officially declared world's healthiest children after rejecting big farm. Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Oh, what's this saying? Oh wait, we gotta go back. What's this say? Amos
opposed-
Miller, an Amish farmer in Lancaster.
As opposed to those,
Yeah.
those fat
Rated
Amish
by
kids
the
you can see in
Department of Agriculture.
McDonald's. So yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And
They did.
aside from that those social media stuff that the Amish are voting for Trump, on the other side of the aisle, the reactions to the Trump win from Democrat supporters have been off the rails, I guess.
That's an understatement.
I've
The
been
Jimmy Kimmel
watching
cried.
some of them, some of those clips.
The Jimmy Kimmel cried like someone's
Yeah.
gonna be taking away his
No,
show.
aside from the celebrities.
Yeah, what the fuck, bro? Nobody gives a shit about.
Yeah, and it's not just the celebrities though. I've also watched some some outrage, or let's just say loony stuff from
You said
Democrats.
you said the Amish don't do like social media. Check this guy out.
Oh,
We
I
stand
guess I'm
corrected.
wrong.
They found the camera
Oh, no.
button.
Yeah, I stood correct.
It says
Either way,
it says 100
Either-
150 Amish came out to vote for the first time.
Is that an Amish
Wow.
TikTok video?
150,000.
Is that an Amish TikTok video or
150,000.
Magic Jebediah?
Oh,
I think it wasn't.
Magic
I don't- I
Jebediah?
Magic Jebediah, yeah.
the only Jebediah that I know is Jebediah Kerman from the Kerbal Space Program. So I don't know.
I
But
don't think-
yeah,
I've never met. We used to we used to go to the my grandpa would like buy a pig and get
I
it
thought
killed
Ian was gonna do a
and
TikTok
take it
dance.
to
God damn it! I've been waiting.
yeah.
Suddenly stood up.
No, I just want.
But we used
Yeah, I
to
just wanted to snack because I don't want
Yeah.
my ass hurt.
we used to deal with the Mennonites.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're kind of like
your
Amish.
cousins, the
The
Mennonites.
Mennonites as opposed to the
Yeah.
Womenites.
Lol.
Say that 10 times.
I think they're the cousins in those kind of communities are the Mennonites, the Amish, and the Moravians.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like if there's
But
any indication of
as you were saying, the
how
Mennonites.
people thought of the election, I think the Amish actually going out to vote is a is a big factor on
Yeah.
how important they
factor.
feel their vote is, right?
Is
Well, I mean, like I said, building materials. Like these people build.
Yeah, and they were so.
You
And
know what I mean? Like-
one of their tenets is being off the grid. Like, why put yourself back in if you don't feel it's gonna be a danger to you to if you don't, right?
I mean, if you think about it, right? Like we as non-Amish, right? Like we live in, I'm online right now. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm doing, I
Yeah.
drink beer and like
we're normal guys.
all kinds of stuff. But imagine the people that live the most
Yeah.
basic of life, right? Like they worship, they work, they eat,
Yeah.
they have families. Like
Yeah.
they do just those things.
And
And then they're like,
Those basic.
yeah, and they're like,
basic
oh,
things.
this is we
Yeah.
have to like it's our duty to
Yeah.
vote because
And-
what's happening now
they
cannot
have
continue.
become so concerned, and these are people who get a hard on when they hear the word moist. So
Moist.
so
The Amish, an Amish
We're not talking
paradise.
about like critical here, ladies and gentlemen. By the way,
like
as you were saying.
But yeah,
'cause-
that's interesting. That this, and I think I said it the other day. Like this was a very, 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 very important election.
and it has
yeah, and the one
been,
thing about this election is it's just gonna be 4 years. Like people, these Jimmy Kimmel, whoever these late night hosts are, like crying in front of camera, asking people to be strong. Like you, think of the
That's
millionaires.
insane. That's
Yeah.
insane.
Just think of the
That's
millionaires.
gaslighting.
How they're having trouble right now.
Yeah.
When Donald Trump immediately
And the
back in
normal-
2016, which actually got him the win, he actually admitted
Yeah.
the system is actually rigged for them. It's just there for them to actually use, and he's been using it. Now he posed the challenge to the Democrats: when you get in power, will you change that? So they've been in
And-
power for 4 years. Has there been any changes regarding how these laws that actually helped Trump actually navigate his presidency, his first term, and actually navigate his business pre-election in 2016? Have they changed anything regarding that? That's what I mentioned. They wasted 4 years that they could have spent for 2016 not to happen again. They didn't actually post safeguards. Do you guys? Am I still on camera? Am I still on camera?
Yeah, you're still on camera. It's
Okay.
just freezing.
Okay.
Yeah, you're still on camera.
Okay. Have they done
Yeah.
anything? Have they done anything over the past 4 years to actually prevent presidents from not putting their businesses in blind trust? Have they done anything for presidents to actually, by mandate, make public their tax returns? Nothing.
They don't because they don't want to. They don't want it to. They
Yeah,
want it, Trump
they don't
to do it.
want
They
to.
don't want to apply it. They don't want it to apply to everybody.
I guess they're singling Trump though. That's
If you're
what
going to
I'm
be
observing.
singling someone
Well, yeah.
out, those are the things you're going to be looking for.
That's the bureaucratic bullshit that people talk about.
Yeah, and that's the reason why Trump actually won 2016. You won't change these policies because these benefit you, not just me. So Hollywood elites, those that have millions in the bank, those that are celebrities, they might not like Trump right now, but the policies that actually help them keep the riches is actually the policy that actually keeps Trump in office.
Uh, yeah, that's a fair assessment. And yeah, that's
And I
uh
would argue, unless they actually make changes to that, I don't think you will see any Democrat in the seat of power anytime soon for the next 10 years.
I was just about to think
well,
to
it's not
yeah.
it's 4 year terms though. So just
Yeah, but I don't know how they're going to recover, especially if Trump is successful these 4 years, like obviously successful, like prices go down, wars fucking stop. Um, then it's going to be how do you combat that as a party, right? The Republicans are going to be like, I'm going to keep it moving. Let's go. I'm going to do what Trump did. Let's go. And everybody's going to be like, hell yeah. And what are the Democrats going to say? I'm going to do it better. Like, hmm, I'm going to do it
how
different. Like, we don't need better and different. We need this to happen. Like, it's happening now. If he's successful,
yeah,
which I hope he is.
because
God, Lord knows.
let's not fool ourselves too, ladies and gentlemen, because Trump only has 4 years at
Hmm,
this point because his term has been truncated, or let's just say cut short,
interrupted.
and now he's doing
No.
the Grover Cleveland thing, and he only has four
One,
years to do this.
yeah, the only
We'll
thing I
see.
haven't heard people talk about is, although it's a Trump presidency, all eyes should be on JD Vance at this point.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what JD does.
Because
JD Vance.
the Trump thing, I feel is gonna be a distraction for everyone.
Mhm.
The real person that the Democrats should be looking at right now is not Trump. It should be JD Vance.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree. He's next.
Yeah.
I mean,
And this is why I
not just
mentioned 10 years
it's
instead
not
of
just a mere
just 8.
Mm.
Because a third term for another, it's usually the history of the Republicans, right? After a couple of terms with you being in power, usually they self implode and turn on each other. That's
uh,
why I'm not giving them full three terms on this one.
Mm-mm.
yeah.
I'm not giving JD Vance a full term.
Full 8 years.
Yeah.
You mean?
Yeah. Usually
Yeah.
they turn on themselves once
There's
they.
going to have to be a Democrat. There's going to have to be a Democrat that just comes out of nowhere, right? Like, because right now, Gavin Newsom would be okay if California wasn't such a
Yeah, but
shithole.
to capture the other part of the country, you would first have to find a candidate within the Democratic Party that's not like the current Democratic Party now. And it would
Right.
take them all to admit, and this is the most mature thing, and I can't believe I'm saying this about adults. It's a mature thing for them to actually admit their current policies are wrong.
Yeah.
I agree.
Andrew Yang. I like Andrew Yang.
Who's Andrew Yang, by the way? For the
He was the one who
education of
proposed
our.
$1,000 for families every month, right?
Yeah, he had some.
So he's basically like Alan Peter Cayetano, Christian.
More or less.
He's a
Yeah,
businessman, attorney, political commentator.
More or less.
because
If
I remember in the last election cycle here in the Philippines, Alan Peter Cayetano had this campaign pledge to give money to every Filipino family.
Yeah,
That's
because
10,000.
a
Yeah.
majority of these candidates in the Democratic side, like they have good ideas, but the problem is the ideas are scattered between different candidates. It's not just rolled into one.
Hmm.
They need
Yeah,
someone that actually
yeah,
represents all of them.
the universal basic income.
Yeah, they need a candidate that represents every one of them. They can't actually admit to themselves that they need someone that has universally everything that they're standing up for. The Republicans, like I said, all have one mind when it comes to their ideas. That's their strategy. That's what they've been doing since the start. That's
They
what
have
they've been
hive
good at.
mind.
They
They
stick to
they
message.
they have hive mind. They actively participate in groupthink. Um, and I mean, one of the best things about being American is your not just your right, but like the acceptance of disagreement. Like I've lived in Asia for a long time.
Yeah,
People
this
don't like it here when you disagree with them.
no. And I would
Yeah.
tend to agree that's the reason why we don't have political pundits here and we don't have late
Mm,
night shows.
yeah,
Yeah.
because you can't
You can't.
disagree.
It's a personal thing here,
Yeah.
Yeah,
sadly.
Sad. It's the
yeah.
sad part when we got our country back during EDSA that we did away with all of these political commentaries. Like we fought for our freedom, particularly freedom of the press, but the press hasn't shown any
Hmm.
freedom here in the Philippines since the martial law era.
Mm.
I don't know if Ian would
Yeah.
actually agree with me on this, but it feels like politics, political commentary here in the Philippines actually died when EDSA actually ended.
I guess so. Because
We've been so content with noontime shows and entertainment gossips that we actually forgot that there are bigger things about the country that we're living in. We're still, in a sense, a young democracy, if you think about it.
exactly, exactly. And as a Filipino, I really am frustrated that our our country is basically in bread and circus mode,
Yeah,
if
and
you know what I mean.
here we are acting when it comes to our media like we've already sent someone to the moon,
Mm.
that we're partying it up. Like the US, I also could argue that's still a young country, but in a sense, you have a form of government that offers you stability with your freedom of speech.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
And the right to bear arms.
Yeah, and you guys actually
Yeah.
exercise it to the fullest. Then again,
And
there are negatives to
freedom,
actually,
free speech. And another big one is the freedom of press,
yeah,
Uh-huh.
which allows CNN to call Donald Trump a racist, even though it's not
yeah.
Mhm.
true.
But back then, again, we go back to this. When that constitution was drafted, they never had a concept of social media or how weaponized it could be, on how
Yeah.
information that can invade your personal space can actually flip your switch into something much more radical.
Right.
Yeah, particularly
But
for
then
this one.
yeah, but then again, it works. It still works in your
If
context, Chris.
if if we
Yeah.
get any lesson, if we take any lesson regarding this election, eh, I guess uh, it's about just looking at the majority of the country, because there has been misconceptions that the left is usually the majority.
Yeah.
And after this election, you can see the greater divide when it came to the popular vote. It's not the
Yeah.
case anymore. Like
And
the Democrats can actually argue if it's just the electoral college, but I don't think there's any contention anymore
yeah,
regarding whose voices are actually much louder now.
yeah, and as we noticed or as we mentioned earlier, it's not just the electoral college. It's also the popular vote. I
Yeah.
mean, that's a double whammy for the Democrats.
Well, it just goes to show like Americans are like, we don't like this shit. Like none of it. Like you
Hmm.
can't like it's on every issue that Americans care about. Like the abortion thing is big, right? Like
Yeah,
um the
Roe
Roe
versus
v. Yeah. If it were the other way around, if Roe v. Wade actually banned abortion on a national scale, then people that support are pro-choice, people that are pro-choice would want the same thing to happen. Like, let's bring it back to the states and let the state decide.
uh-huh.
So it's only fair that the people who are pro-life get the same, you know what I mean? Like, this is not a federal issue. This is put it down to the states. So that's what a
That's what the Dobbs
democracy does. And it's, you know,
that's what the Dobbs thing ruled out in 2022, right, Chris?
yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so in conclusion for this topic, we have others, but it's just this is the bulk of the episode though. in conclusion, though, uh, I guess it's a wait and see if Trump would.
By the way, Ian, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I have to ask Chris this question. Do you feel much
Yeah,
more
sure.
hopeful now in terms of your country?
I do. And honestly, in terms of the world, bro, like I sent you guys that headline from Newsweek
Yeah.
where Hamas like
Yeah,
immediately called for a ceasefire.
immediately after Trump won.
As soon as they were like, "Hey, hey, did you hear Trump's president?" It's like, "Oh shit, we gotta shut this shit down, bro."
They, they called for a ceasefire in time for actually checking their stocks if it actually went up.
Yeah, it's like okay, because now they are not. It's not a playground anymore. You know what I mean? Putin.
And speaking of the Middle East or the Holy Land conflict, Netanyahu also fired Yoav Gallant, his defense secretary. So I don't know if that's going to be if that's gonna affect the ceasefire deal with Hamas with Trump now in office starting January.
Well, we're already seeing remnants of The Apprentice. People
Hmm.
are getting fired left and right.
Yeah, yeah,
So you're much hopeful now.
I am.
That's good.
and
And
I
like I
just
said
hope I'm
before, I
right.
wouldn't actually see anything coming out of Kamala actually winning if she doesn't have the Senate and the House.
exactly.
And wouldn't
And it's a
actually,
good it's a full sweep.
I don't think it would
It's not
benefit
just the
her
White House, it's
the
also
least.
Capitol Hill.
Although
Yeah.
someone might argue with me that at least they have the presidency, but what good is she if she can't actually have any policies? No one is actually going to be working with her.
Yeah. As much as the House, a Republican House, has been in conflict with the Democrat Senate and a Democrat White House. So yeah, that's messed up during the last time. Now that it's a full sweep, yeah, that's interesting at the very least. And maybe my final question for Chris regarding this topic, uh, what now?
Uh, it's it's time to it's time to put Donald Trump under a microscope and make sure that he does what he said he's going to do. As voters, it's our responsibility to hold these politicians accountable, right? If he's not doing what he said he's going to do, well, this time it don't really matter because he can't run again anyway. But that would be detrimental to the party, right? But I
Oh yeah.
think I'm very optimistic that he'll he'll try his best, even in the face of incessant, sometimes untrue, sometimes just unfair um, ridicule from the media. Like the
Yeah.
problem for me, the problem with the media is like CNN is on TV in like every airport.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You
I
know what I
mean,
mean?
Time Warner has business deals with airports, so
Yeah. So they're just pumping out this propaganda to travelers. Like I was coming out of a grocery store here, not here, but when the last place I lived, um,
uh
the last city here in the Philippines though, and like this German, I think he was German maybe.
yeah.
I'm coming out, he's going in, and he was like, "Are you American?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was like, "Your president is a piece of shit," or he said something like crazy, and I was like,
He's a Shiza.
"Yeah," and I was like it happened, and I was so shocked. And like there was a guard standing there, and I was like, what? I look at it, I was like, what? He's like, the guard was like, I don't know, dude. And I was like, what the fuck was that?
It's like telling your kid
Like
Oh,
actually robbed the liquor
that's
store.
insane.
it's
Just
the local
nonchalantly insulting your
airport staff
president in
that
front
we're
of you.
talking about, right, Chris?
Huh?
Local airport staff.
No, this was at a grocery store.
Oh, grocery store. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He
I
was
was
so
coming out and he
comfortable
was
doing
going
that, by
in.
the way.
That's
Yeah.
crazy. Is that not crazy?
Yeah, I think it's crazy.
Like I was flabbergasted, bro. Like me and the guard both. I was like, "What the fuck was that?" The guard's like, "Oh no, dude, that's crazy." I was like, "What the fuck was this?
Yeah.
What
Did he
just
just
happened?"
actually did did he was he actually compelled to actually explain to you why he said that, or was just
No, he kept
what
it
is
moving. Show him.
Jesus?
It's
It's just
crazy.
touch and go or
It's like you
shoot and
have
go
anything to do
or
with
yeah,
it,
shoot
right?
and
You're
Yeah,
shoot.
here in the Philippines.
yeah. I was like, "What the fuck?
And
That's
he's a
crazy. That's so
German
random."
for crying out loud, right?
Yeah. I mean, what if I did that? You know what I mean? Like I could never. I wish. You know how like you get in arguments and then like you think about it for like days and days and days and like you're in the shower and you're like, "Damn, I should have said this. Fuck.
Yeah,
That would have been awesome." But
yeah.
I should have said something about Hitler. You know, it's like, "Bro, what?"
Not necessarily just Hitler. Maybe Olaf Scholz, the current chancellor. Maybe.
Like I don't like that's to me that's how insignificant Germany is. Like I don't know who the fuck is running shit over there and I don't care.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
like
fair.
could really. I know that they have pretty good sausages. I think beer's awesome. I feel like the women are kind of scary.
I
Maybe I don't
remember
really
the
know.
I remember the old Robin Williams rest in peace story regarding Germany. Like he was in a radio in a German talk show, and he was actually posed this question like, "Why do you think there isn't that much comedy in Germany?" And Robin
Mm.
Williams just simply said, didn't you even think that you killed all the funny people?"
Oh my God.
And
I guess
then the
that's a
host just said, "No." That proves his point.
Oh,
The host didn't actually
yeah,
think it was a joke. He thought he was serious.
right.
So,
Didn't
yeah.
get the didn't
like, did it
Germans
never
are
ironically
occur
did
to you
not
that you
get the
actually
joke.
killed all the funny people?
yeah. I mean, yeah, the Germans are a bit serious. You know,
Yeah,
too
because
serious by the way.
you'll be serious too if you
Even
have
though,
a couple of years guilt on your shoulder.
yeah, yeah.
It's
And,
not
and
even you.
2 world wars to be precise. So yeah, that's messed up. And
Yeah, like
since
that reminds me of the comedy skit from
what?
who did the skit, the comedy, the set, the comedy set from stand-up comedian where it's like Germany's wild. Like imagine like one time it's like in Germany they're like, you know what, we're going to go to war. And the Germans are like, with who? And he's like, everybody. He's like, what? Like the world? It's like, yeah. And then like you do it and you lose. And then like a couple years later you like, we're going to war again. Who are we going to war with this time? Everybody. And it's like, what? Like stop going to war with everybody.
Knock knock. Who's there? We're asking the questions.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
A
yeah,
BB gun
yeah,
kicking down doors. Germans
yeah.
don't knock. They break down doors.
They break
Yeah.
down doors. They scour everything and all that. I mean, during the Second World War,
It's
just to be on the safe
it's
side.
it's a hard stigma to actually get down, get away from the Germans.
Yeah,
Actually,
Mm.
sure.
I'm actually sad for that. They're trying to overcompensate over the past decades of what happened.
Yeah, maybe they're
But
compensating with their
yeah,
precision German engineering. You
having
know,
Angela Merkel
uh,
be on board is an
yeah.
overcompensation. I don't think that's lost on anyone. So
But to be fair to Merkel, he's she's
America,
a good chancellor.
you
She's a
still
good leader
haven't
for the
done your
Germans.
DEI when it comes to presidencies. What's up with that?
Yeah, you're
Presidency
behind a
or
couple,
chancellorship,
you're behind a few decades.
Christian? Presidency or chancellorship?
I don't think
Are you
America would
thinking
have.
about the presidency or chancellorship of
People
Germany?
will hate me for saying this. I don't think
Oh,
America would actually.
America. I thought Angela Merkel. I thought
Yeah,
you said Angela Merkel.
no.
You say America. Oh my good.
At this point, I
Yeah,
don't think
my bad.
America would have a female president at the moment, unless it's actually a Republican. I think I cut off in the right
Tulsi
moment.
Gabbard, let's go. I'm all
Unless
for
it's,
it.
unless it's actually a Republican
I
at this
would
point.
vote for Tulsi Gabbard.
Nikki Haley is close second, but Gabbard could be first in line.
Like
Yeah.
the female candidates at
I
this
like
point,
Carrie Lake too.
like the female candidates at this point, and the female voters, I think have years for them to actually redeem themselves when it comes to credibility, on the amount that of support they actually give each other.
Yeah.
Mm.
Before they actually look at
I mean, you look
supporting,
at Trump, man. Who's around Trump now, right?
yeah, before they actually look at
Elon,
supporting
Democrat.
men trying to be women,
RFK, Democrat. Mm.
yeah, before they actually look at trying to
Yeah.
support men being women, try to support each other first.
Yeah.
That's it. One of your own
Oh,
actually came out and didn't actually win because I figured women actually voted for Trump. If you're not gonna
A
be
lot of women
supporting your
did.
own base, you have
yeah.
no right to actually try to support others.
And some of these people on social media still have the nerve to say bad things about women who voted for Trump.
Yeah. It's crazy. The
They're not
hypocrisy is
women.
fucking
They're not
wild.
women at that point when they voted. They were Americans.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Right? They're not just women, but American women. So that's that.
Mothers, wives, sisters,
Daughters.
Members
daughters,
of society.
co-workers, members of the community. Yeah, like I
Yeah.
don't know. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
the left
Very.
hate being given labels, but they're not afraid to actually hand them out.
Yeah. It's hypocritical, to be honest. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, there's this notion or this adage: rules for thee, not for me.
Exactly. They're big
Right?
on that shit. Yeah.
That sucks. Wherever you are on the political spectrum outside the progressive ones, even if you're just a centrist and just wanna flip the finger on both sides,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, that's a good way to. I don't want to say it's a good way to end that part, since we really wanted to do this until January, but then again, it's exhausting. We've been here almost every day this week. The
Yeah.
only time that we didn't do the podcast was yesterday because the
You know,
results were just
the
too
one
quick.
person that's actually really happy at this point and the results, I feel like it's Biden,
I feel like it is too.
I guess he's
right?
really. I guess he's relieved
I feel like
from
if
all.
anyone actually won in this election, I figured it would be him. He feels like he
I
won,
think he voted for Trump.
right?
I think
I
Joe
guess
Biden
he's
voted for Trump.
a traditional politician after all. Yeah.
Well, I mean, again, like you have to, like he's American first. Like he has to know. He has to know. He has to know that Donald Trump's policies
And I
were better for the country than
and I
his
don't
were. He
think
has to know this.
it's in Biden's personality to actually put himself out there, even for a second term, if he feels that someone is actually much more viable for winning. I don't think. I think there's a reason why he didn't actually push Kamala forward first
Yeah.
for the
He
candidacy.
only pushed him
Because
at the
remember the
last
last
minute.
time he was actually reluctant to actually run.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because he would have easily ran during the time when it was Trump versus Hillary. Like I was actually thinking that he was actually going to be a candidate back then.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that he stepped out, or he didn't put himself
Yeah, people
or
were
put
actually
his hat on
expecting
the,
him to actually
because
be getting into the
he was the
primaries.
vice president back then, right? He was
Yeah.
the vice president back then, and then we had Hillary Clinton.
You know what's funny is both times that America was close to having, the only two times really,
Against
that
Trump.
America was close to having a female president,
Was
they both
against
lost to Donald Trump.
Yeah.
It's
It
like
sucks that it has to be that way, but you know what?
it's a lady killer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just a poor or unfortunate epitaph for Trump.
Yeah, and he's learned a
Well,
lot of lessons over the his previous candidacy. Like this time, he didn't actually put his family at the forefront. We barely
right.
saw them during the campaign period.
Which
Like
is
that,
fair
it was
enough.
actually weird.
Weird, but you know what? I guess that was fair because they may not be at the forefront, but maybe he's doing he's utilizing them on the sidelines or
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, but them
For
not being
sure.
on public makes it less of a thing for the people to actually scrutinize about it during the
Hmm.
campaign. So it was actually smart.
that was a that was a genius move, that's for sure. And if I'm not mistaken, JD Vance is a Catholic, and perhaps he's a much better Catholic.
Uh,
I don't know if
I
it's
don't.
Catholic.
Vance is
I
Catholic.
don't know if he's Catholic.
I don't
I
know
don't
if
think.
Vance is Catholic. I'm not sure, but I, I saw him. I saw him in altar service vestments. I'm not sure. Okay, I don't really. Uh, I just
Look,
saw it and
Kamala went to the Middle
okay,
East and wore a
probably the
hijab.
greatest.
He wasn't actually. She wasn't actually Muslim.
Yeah, yeah,
Even the Prime Minister of New Zealand actually wore a hijab back then. She wasn't actually Muslim. So I guess
yeah.
any
Just
they could wear
other
these things.
Yeah,
maybe
because JD Vance is from my neck of the woods, and we don't. There's not many Catholics, I think, where I'm from in Appalachia. It's a lot of Baptist, a lot of Pentecostal. He might be. I don't know honestly.
yeah. So do I. I'm actually surprised, and for sure, Vance is a better Catholic. If he's a Catholic, he's a better Catholic than Biden,
No, I wouldn't
But
say
just
that.
on abortion alone,
He's
let's
right?
see.
I don't know.
it's like I wouldn't say that he's a better Catholic. It's like saying your wife is better than yours. Like it doesn't make
Hey, that's a
sense.
good, yeah, that's a good that's
Like
a
it
good
doesn't make
clap
sense
back,
to say that.
Christian. Yeah, it's a good clap back, Christian. I that's good. And
And
yeah,
he is a Catholic.
yeah.
He,
I
he,
actually am surprised.
he used to be an atheist.
Hmm.
He's not an
Perhaps.
evangelical Christian. He's a Catholic of a. So what
He
type
used
of
to be
Catholic?
atheist before the candidacy.
Uh-huh.
He converted to in 2021 when JD Vance was asked at a conference why he had converted to Catholicism just 2 years earlier. So he became Catholic in 2019. He
Yeah.
had a fairly simple answer. I really liked that the Catholic Church was just really
Yeah.
old.
When did he, Chris? When did he actually enter the Senate?
A couple years ago.
See, there's your
Two,
answer.
yeah, yeah.
That's a fast track.
Like you can't actually hold office if you're an atheist.
Uh-huh.
Well, you can. It's just going to be
You
really
can. It's
difficult to get
just almost
elected.
impossible and difficult to get voters out of that.
Yeah.
And you would have to you would have to have the alternative pledge of office. It's affirmation, not an oath, right?
Yeah, when you think about the stats, I guess 15% of the minorities there, or are considered minorities in the U.S., are actually atheists.
Okay. So here we go. There's a little more, some more details. So he was committed to his father's church when he was a little boy, but it didn't last long. It was strong but short-lived, it says. As a young man, he identified for a while as an atheist. Then he talked about his conversion. He reconnected with Christianity when he was searching for greater meaning in his life during law school. He began to feel drawn to Catholicism in particular after reading up on Catholic moral philosophers and discussing theology with conservative Dominican friars he knew. Okay,
Oh,
so
Dominicans, of
All that
course.
came from Wikipedia.
yeah.
It
No, that was
feels
an
like
article.
an article. Feels
Yeah,
like
yeah, that
something
was an
from
article.
Wattpad. So
Yeah, Of course he would be conversing with the Dominicans. I probably think he would have read some Aquinas for sure.
What is?
You
I don't
know,
know what that is.
Just
Thomas
one
Aquinas.
conversation would actually change you. That's it.
Well, no, I mean,
There
I imagine it was conversations over a time.
over a span of time, yeah.
Yeah,
That could that could be plausible.
I mean, he was in college, so and he knew these guys, so he didn't have just one conversation, but
Mhm.
and in law school, so that's
Yeah.
that's way
And
before
he
he
just
became.
became Catholic at what day? He was. You said he
I
was an atheist before, right? But when did they actually shift to
Well, the
Catholicism?
headline the headline was a little misleading. He
uh,
identified as an atheist when he was much younger,
Yeah.
and then he kind of just wasn't not really an atheist, just kind of like a non-denominational.
Yeah.
non-denominational or agnostic.
Yeah,
But you don't make
Either
that
way.
announcement regarding if you made an announcement before that you were an
but he would.
atheist, you would still
No, he
be an
was
atheist.
asked. He was asked at a somewhere at a political. I don't know. He was asked in 2019. He was like, and then he confirmed. Oh, he's asked by a Catholic outlet, I think.
Yeah,
Why are you Catholic?
if I plan
Because
to
Catholicism, like I said, Catholicism is not a predominant religion in our area of
yeah,
Appalachia.
Yeah, it's
So
mostly in the West. It's mostly in the West. It's mostly in the
yeah,
Irish area.
yeah.
then he must have done his demographic research when it comes to voters, by the way. So that the pros actually outweigh the cons if I actually dictate that I declare that I'm Catholic. The timing's really. I guess he knew that he was gonna be campaigning.
Mhm.
Like that's the Bible Belt, right?
Yeah,
I think we're a little above the Bible Belt.
You're above the Bible
above the
Belt.
Yeah.
okay. That's interesting though. Yeah, and
Yeah, JD Vance,
right
someone to actually look at for the next 4 years, because I doubt if Trump would actually just leave office after 4 years, JD Vance would actually be next in line to carry the torch. And I hope
Mm.
yeah,
people would actually be looking more his way rather than just being distracted by the upcoming antics of Trump.
yeah. I
And
really hope that you know I really hope Americans would consider that as well because Trump only has 4 years. I said it earlier. No matter how good Trump is, he only has 4 years left.
yeah, and you guys in the U.S. have a saying: "Once bitten, twice shy." Trump has
Yeah.
never been shy about anything throughout his life, so I
Right.
don't think that applies to him. So he will be causing a lot of distractions while his
Hmm.
party actually maneuvers. Whether it be completely dominating the Supreme Court, passing policy changes when it comes to votings, these are the type of things that might be coming through during the next couple
Hmm.
of years. Something I
Either
don't
way,
get about the Democrats, by the way, when they
yeah.
get into power, why do they nominate Republican justices?
Mm.
Nominating Republican justices.
Like Merrick Garland at this point, like the amount
What?
of face palms that I get.
They have 4 years to appoint at least one Supreme
Just
Court justice.
look into it, guys. Notice that every time a Democrat is actually in office, a justice that's Republican is actually added.
Mm. Well, they got to get confirmed by Congress, so they
Yeah,
can't just stick them in there.
yeah,
Yeah. Besides, and at least in the 2 years prior to this election, the House has a Republican majority, so I guess
yeah.
that influenced it.
Yeah, this is a wake up call for the Democrats that they've been working against themselves for the past 2 decades now. I
Yeah,
think it's hard for them to actually ignore now that the issue is within them, not actually the Republicans or Republican voters.
Mm.
yeah. They should definitely go on a retreat, not a military retreat, but they should reflect on what should they do policy wise because quite honestly.
Should
I don't see
Chris?
anything from them.
Should the Democrats be taking in something from the Republican playbook, like the conversion therapy stuff?
Yeah, maybe MK, was it MK19?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's a good way to see it. And yeah, also, Chris, what would be aside from what we have talked about, what would be another thing that the Democrats should do so that they could come back to power?
Uh, Stop prioritizing the niche minority groups, like Americans in general, right? Like you have to look at everybody as a whole and what you're going to do for everybody as a whole, right? Stop saying we need, um, everybody has the reason I say that is because they do a lot of this.
Compartmentalization, is that it?
Like they're like, okay, immigrants, we got to do this for the immigrant. We got to do this for the immigrants. That's a very small sector, right? And it's like, the trans movement, right? We're offering free sex changes in prison. Most Americans, like it's fine if you do these things, right? If you feel that you
Right.
need to do these things, that's great, but that should not be your priority.
Yeah. Can people in prison even vote?
Felons cannot vote,
Um,
but felons can run, which is crazy.
right.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
who benefits from that? Even if you're doing it as a pander for voters, that doesn't benefit you in any way. That's why
It
what I
doesn't.
didn't get
Yeah.
at what why Kamala actually brought that forward as a policy.
Yeah.
And
As
she was a
I said,
prosecutor, by the way.
Yeah.
yeah. Irony
This
of ironies,
yeah,
to be
a race
specific.
between a prosecutor and a criminal, and the criminal actually won. How bad at your
Cops and
job
felons
can you be?
fell on one.
Like I said, this was
That's
supposed to be a layup.
Yeah.
This was supposed to be
but
a
It
you know,
layup.
was.
And the Democrats changing Biden with Kamala, they called the timeout mid-air.
Yep.
yeah. That's a bit that's a bit sus, as my generation calls it. Anyway, that's a very we've been stretching too much of this
Yeah,
topic
America.
for the
If you
past week.
just to look on the bright side, America. If you feel like your election has been a shit show over this week, we're gonna have a mayoral election next year, and it's gonna be a mess. Like ours is actually much
A
more
general
complicated. So
it's actually a general election,
it's
Christian.
a
It's not
general
just
election
about the mayor. It's a general election up to the senator level.
after the senator level.
So yeah,
Like ours is a
you're
circus.
right. Yeah, it's a
Like
circus.
when we look at peaceful transfer of power, we look at your country.
Mm, that's
Yeah,
crazy.
Ours is a bloodbath.
because yeah, figuratively and literally, because there are people who unfortunately get killed during the election season.
The misconception about the Philippines when it comes to politics is they feel we are really passive when it comes to this.
Oh boy, they're dead wrong because yeah, they're dead wrong because it's so animated here,
Mm,
especially when the campaign period starts uh earlier next year in 2025.
Like Chris,
I mean,
regarding
one
America,
can
can you
face
remember a political dynasty there sticking around for more than 20 years?
no. I
No,
mean, the Kennedys.
the Kennedys, but
Kennedys,
it's
but
not
then again,
in the same
they're
position,
just
right?
influential.
It's
Yeah.
not like Kennedy
Uh,
and Kennedy Jr. became mayor of the same town.
oh, yeah. No, no, no. Yeah, no, no.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
have
the closest
those.
we get, I mean, the closest we get is like Kennedy's, the Bushes, maybe, because like
Yeah,
Jeb Bush was also governor of
yeah,
Florida. Um,
yeah. We have that here for 3 decades now. And if you look at where you are right now, that's
Oh
one of
yeah,
the biggest example of a political dynasty here in the Philippines. Our central business
especially
district
here
is
as
run by a
well.
political dynasty. So if you guys think politics in US is effed up, that's why I keep saying you don't know the Philippines that well.
Yeah,
We're not
because
saints.
here politics is a shit show, as Christian said earlier.
Now we'll provide you with
It's
hospitality, but in terms of politics, people are cutthroat
oh
here.
boy, yeah. It's quite ironic because we're lenient regarding a lot of stuff, but when it comes to politics, we're at each other's throats, and it gets real messy. So, ladies and gentlemen, since the American elections are over, the ones that are across the Pacific here in the Philippines, it's gonna come next year. Watch this space, and
Yeah.
yeah,
And
we'll see.
Chris,
Yeah,
by the way,
mm.
Chris, what's your message to your people in the US regarding this? I think the final word for this podcast should belong to you now.
yeah.
Uh,
You're the
I'm
American
I'm
here,
shutting
so
up now. So
I think, yeah, hold Donald Trump accountable, and not for sleeping with a porn star. Like, let's come on, let's be real. We're all adults here. Uh, hold his feet to the fire. Like, I want to see these wars stopped. I want to see America become um, energy independent again. I want to see, I want to see RFK make America healthy again. I want him to regulate, do all that stuff he's talking about, like with the, have the sugar. We got all that sugar and shit in our food. Like, um, I want Elon to really, really, really to help cut back on wasteful government spending. Um, I want them to keep their promises, and it's up to the voter really to make sure that happens. And also, nice job, because Kamala sucks.
well, very well said, Chris. Very well said. And I was supposed to share to you some lighter stuff, but you know what? We've been talking for an hour now, and this is a,
Yeah,
I guess this is a good way to end this episode of the Paper Straw podcast. All
yep,
of the things that we have been saying here, it's live on Twitch right now, and later on it will be on YouTube. So do check out our YouTube channel, Paper Straw Media. Ring the notification bell by selecting all. Okay, maybe I'll do that again.
no, you're good.
it's good.
Yeah, right. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, as I said, it's a good way to end this episode of the Paper Straw podcast. I was supposed to do two other lighter topics, but then again,
Let's just do a speed run on that if you want.
yeah, that's a good way
Just do a
to end
speed
it
run on it.
on a lighter. Let's end the week on a lighter note. We've been too heavy this week.
Yeah.
Anyway, so by the middle of November, I guess this is going to be next week. The light rail transit line 1, LRT 1, would open 5 new stations from
Mm.
Baclaran to Dr. A. Santos, and it's gonna have a station on the Parañaque Integrated Terminal Exchange. I was
That benefits you
supposed,
guys, right?
yeah, it does benefit me, but
Yeah.
it should have been done while I was in college, because that was during Benigno Aquino III. He already stepped down. Duterte came and gone, and now Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is in office, and Aquino is dead. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
And it's and it's quite ironic that during the Marcos administration
Yeah,
now
it took a Marcos to
do
finish it.
these exactly. Well, it's not yet finished per se, but the first phase of it, because there's still at least two stations that would run until Bacoor in Cavite. This is not really near my place, but you know, it's much easier to ride a train if there's a station in Bacoor. That's for sure. But uh, I guess Chris, this would benefit both of us because there will be times that you need to
Travel
you
back to
need
Manila.
to come to Manila.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a much
Yeah,
easier commute.
exactly. And one last thing before we end this episode, I just published or just finished writing this article regarding the 45th anniversary version of Miki Matsubara's song "Stay with Me." You
Yeah,
know that, Christian?
yeah.
Yeah. Basically, it's city pop, J-pop or city
City
pop.
pop.
Yeah, it's city pop, and there are some people who don't like it, the remix, the modern remix, because
It's same thing
sounds
they
too
say about Plastic Love until they actually listen to it a couple of times.
exactly. But you know what? Either way, it's good. It's funky enough, even the modern
Reminds
version.
me so much of the Nana Mizuki stuff back in the 90s.
Oh
So,
yeah, oh yeah.
and some hints of Utada Hikaru.
Hmm. Yeah, and
Yeah, I know my
I
city
guess
pop.
this.
So,
Of course. You're the resident anime guy here, Christian,
no,
so
not
that
just
I understand.
not just
Yeah.
anime. They have good girl bands back then in the 90s. Not necessarily just about anime. It's just about J-pop
Yeah.
and J-rock.
And I'm a metalhead. So I also listen to some of the J metal stuff and they're also good. Yeah, I can definitely vouch for J metal. And is it about I guess it's a good time to promote
Yeah,
our new segment, Paper Straw Podcast,
you guys
because
ready?
I'm ready. How about you,
I'm
Chris?
not ready yet. Nope.
Oh, that sucks. But either way, it's gonna come soon. Okay, we're not saying any date yet. Once Chris is ready, we're gonna start. But basically, this segment or this new format in the Paper Straw podcast would basically be anime related,
Hmm.
and as we have hinted in previous episodes, Christian, who is the resident anime guy of this podcast, would
Yeah.
assign to both of us, Chris and I, who are non-anime guys, a series to watch. I have just finished the assignment. I'll just wait for Chris to finish
Yeah.
his, and then
Like,
we'll talk about it.
yeah,
We'll talk about it. We'll just surprise you, ladies
and
and
to our
gentlemen.
audience
We'll,
who actually are into anime, if you ever wondered what it feels like to actually watch anime for the first time, like if you love a certain anime and you watch it but want to experience watching it for the first time again, just look at the reactions of these two for you
oh
to relive it. I think that's a concise way to explain what we're going for here.
yeah. So
And this is through an eyes of an indoctrinated anime watcher, an indoctrinated anime watcher. You will see something fresh for this one. You might get a bit more perspective with the animes that you previously watched before, if they suddenly point
Mm.
out uh, some parts that you might have missed, just because you are so ingrained into the anime culture.
yeah. So the commentary that Chris and I would make in the first or the pilot episode of that series would be I guess would be a good way to consider or good thoughts to consider
Yeah,
in rewatching that anime series that Christian gave to us. So
Hmm.
once
yeah,
Chris is ready, once we're all ready to be
yeah.
exact,
And
we will just
and
surprise you.
and I will announce this right now. The funny thing about that episode is, and I know this would take you both by surprise, I will not be part of that episode. It would just be the two of you.
Oh boy.
It would be a discussion for both of you without me making any counterpoints. That's why I mentioned it's through the eyes of two unindoctrinated anime watchers.
Yeah.
You got me
Yeah, I
there,
look
Chris.
forward to it.
You got me there.
So, yeah. Once this
You
episode drops, I hope the audience would actually support this.
Mm,
Please watch them both.
yeah,
So, yeah.
because
Please stay tuned. We will be announcing it on our YouTube, on our socials, on our website for
mm,
the schedule of it.
yeah, we'll just surprise you, and Chris and I, to be exact, would just surprise you. Damn it, Christian, you surprised me
But yeah,
too. Than that,
there is no point for me to be there, by the way. it,
Mm.
I guess that's fair. I guess that's fair. Anyway, with that said, I guess I think it's a good way to end this episode of the Paper Straw podcast. And we would like to thank you for monitoring the U.S. elections with us for the past week, uh, especially the run up
yeah.
to the polling day and the results. It's really something that we have. This is actually my first time
Mm.
having this kind of marathon, and I really am honored to be part of this podcast and watch history
Yeah.
happen.
Just wait till the
Uh,
Super Bowl.
oh yeah,
Oh.
I guess that's another historic thing that we need to talk about, but that's gonna be next year. And with that said, don't forget to follow us on Twitch. We're streaming the Paper Straw podcast every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 4 p.m. Philippine Standard Time, 4 to 4:30. Give us some 30 minutes to prepare ourselves, but between those time span, we're gonna start our stream 4 to 4:30 Philippine Standard 4 to 4:30 p.m. Philippine Standard Time, 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. UTC. So just calculated from the UTC time zone, and replays of our live stream for the Paper Straw podcast would be on YouTube. So please uh, follow us or subscribe to us there, ring the notification bell, and do comment and share in the episodes that we have, especially this one that we are on the final stretch of this marathon about the U.S. elections. And do also follow us on our socials as well. We're on Facebook, we're on X or slash Twitter, and as we said, YouTube and Twitch. So, on behalf of Christian Tejares and Chris Short, I am Ian Riñon, and I would like to thank you all for watching or listening the Paper Straw podcast. Happy weekend, everyone, and congratulations to the Republicans.
Yeah, you might not
Bye.
have gotten what you want this week, but we hope you get what you need.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. All right. I guess. So with that note, on that note, we're out.